Welcome to Amintro Family, the podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Sammut. We hope you're enjoying the free online platform and community for family caregivers, be it through the Amintro Family app or amintrofamily.com, because it's all about helping those caring for their aging parents and relatives or friends, and to connect and share experiences and access valuable resources. Our guest today is caregiver Francesca Valente. Francesca, it's good of you to join us. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff, for having me.
Well, appreciate it. You and your husband are, David, are both caregivers, and we want to hear about both of your caregiving journeys. But first, I wanted to ask you about this, Francesca. You and David, what do you guys do professionally?
I'm actually a real estate agent.
Yeah.
And my husband does renovations. So some contracting, work like that, yeah.
So you guys
we're
should
both
be,
self-employed.
you should be an HGTV tandem. You should have
Oh
your
my
own
God,
television show.
We should. We have flipped houses over the years. We do lots of different things. So, yeah.
And your name would go
Maybe
first.
one day.
In the title, your name would go first. David's not here to defend himself, so it would be Francesca and Dave flipping houses, something like that.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, flipping out with Francesca and Dave.
Actually, it's funny you say that, Jeff. I actually do have like a separate Instagram. It's called Follow My Flip. So we have done a couple of things. Anyways,
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Follow My Flip. So is it at Follow My Flip?
At follow_my_flip. So that's the last one we did a few years ago. I just posted our journey.
Awesome.
But
okay, quick plug. There you go. See,
yeah,
and we got to turn that into an HGTV show. That is a 2026 goal. So
perfect.
So you guys are in real estate and construction, and I wanted to delve more into your family before David's. Your dad has dementia, and you help take care of him with your mother and your brother. Is that right?
So my dad has Alzheimer's, yes.
Yep.
So I'm one of 4 children. So I'm the oldest. There's 3 girls.
Yeah.
And my brother's the youngest, and there's 7-year span between the 4 of us.
Yeah.
I have one sister that lives out of province. She's in BC, so she's not that involved. So it's basically between the 3 of us at the moment. But my sister that lives here, her husband's going through cancer treatment, so we kind of don't want to bother her. So we all kind of had duties that we took care of. And now I've kind of taken on my sister's duties as well because she's got her own stuff going on with her family.
When it rains, it pours. I'm so sorry to hear that, Francesca.
Yeah.
Your mother, is she in good health?
She's in decent health.
Yeah.
My mother's going to be 82 this year, and she is my dad's primary caregiver. They still live at home together. Yeah, and we're worried about her as well as my dad, but we're really worried about my mom. So
yeah, I went through that with my folks, and anybody that listens to this show is well versed in my story.
Okay.
But for the sake of consistency, my dad had Alzheimer's. He passed away 5 years ago, almost to the day of when we're speaking now.
Sorry to hear that.
That's okay. Yeah, thanks. And he had Alzheimer's, and my mother was his primary caregiver. And I know what you speak, because as much as you wanted to make sure you're there for your dad and spend time with him as well, I was trying to be there for my mother. I was trying to make sure that she was okay for her own sake, but also because, she goes down, then we've got to care for both of them.
Yeah.
And we being me and my siblings, and it would be a lot for us. We did as much as we could to make sure she was okay.
Yeah. That's the point we're at now.
Yeah, that's what you got to do. So you're at that point now, and I'm recalling what I went through with my mother and making sure she was okay. There came a point where we had to have serious discussions, and of course it ended up happening, where we had to relocate my dad. Is that where you are right now, where you're discussing, okay, maybe this is out of your mother's hands now? He's going to need more care than what she can provide.
So it took us a long time to get to that point. My mother is an old, stubborn Sicilian woman, very headstrong. So we finally got on board with possibly putting my dad in a home. So we did have him on, I think we had 4 or 5 homes, somewhat in the area. They live in the Vaughan area. And then over the Christmas break, my dad got really sick, ended up at hospital. He ended up having influenza A, which turned to double lung pneumonia. I actually wasn't sure if my dad would come home, but he ended up in hospital for 5 weeks, very sick. He came out of it, but he had a huge decline while he was in hospital. So while he was there, we tried to get him into into a home directly from the hospital. They would not allow it. He had to come home, be reassessed. So he is at home, but he is on a crisis list. So we did open up our list. I think we have 9 or 10 homes. We still want to be within a 30-minute drive, because we went through this with my grandmother about 13 years ago, where she went into a home that was a little further, and it was really difficult for my mom to get there. And my mom was also 13 years younger. So we're at the point where we're just waiting. So when he came home from hospital, we got the maximum amount of, let's say, care from Health at Home. So we had PSWs 4 times a day, because at that point he was incontinent. Like before he went in hospital, he was walking and talking and eating, but now he can't, like he wears diaper, like he can't go to the bathroom on his own. Cognitively declined. It's just a bad situation. Anyways, he
Yeah.
is on a crisis as we are waiting to get him into a home.
But are you at a point now where any one of the homes has an availability, you're just going to say yes to it, distance or not?
Correct. We're just waiting. So he's on 9 or 10 homes, and we also, because you also have to specify if you want a private, semi-private. We're like, whatever room you have,
Yeah.
you know, we're ready. But it's been 3 months, almost 3 months, and we haven't heard
So given
much.
that, well, I know 3 months feels like an eternity, but I think overall, being outside the picture, 3 months might not be that long at all. Because having gone through the wait,
Yeah.
do you look back though, and I hate to have you second guessing, but for the benefit of the education of everybody that could be listening right now that's in the same spot or might be in the same spot, do you wish that you had been more proactive in getting your dad on lists earlier, when he was a little more healthy, or did the illness really just fast track everything over the holidays?
I wish you would have put him on earlier, because we didn't realize the wait times were so long. There is really a need. I don't know. Things have changed in the last 5 years, so we didn't really understand that fully. So yes, I wish we would have. I'm not sure we could have, because, like I said, my mother's also been an obstacle
Yeah.
in my dad's care. As much as I hate to admit that, and I didn't realize, because I've heard other stories of once you get on the crisis list, within a couple weeks you're in. We did not realize how long this wait was. Um, so what they've done too, I guess they've realized how bad my dad's condition is. I'm not sure how this even happened, but we currently have bundled hours. So we now have a PSW that, well, two, that is there from morning till we have a 13-hour straight PSW at my mom's house helping them. And it's still not enough. My dad is difficult. At night we have a second PSW. He needs 2 people to get him down to bed. So we're just waiting.
Yeah, you need a team. You need him to be somewhere.
Yes, yes, yes.
That without sounding horrible, and don't get me wrong, because when my dad had to go in for things when he was ill and still living at home, we looked on the bright side and said, well, at least my mom is getting a break. That time that he spent in hospital over the holidays, over a month span, 5 weeks,
hmm
did you recognize that, okay, this is a chance for your mother to breathe a little bit? At the very least, there's that.
You know what we did? And I think she also realized that it was better for her, although she doesn't want to admit it. So she'd spend like a good chunk of the day at the hospital making sure my dad was fed and everything. But at night, she could go home and rest and not worry about my dad getting up and wandering and eating everything out of the fridge and eating raw foods and going to the bathroom all over the house. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think at that point, she realized, yes, even though it's tough, but I think she had a realization, as did we, as did we.
So that's going to help, though, with your mom when your dad is relocated into a full-time care facility
Yes.
then.
I mean, I know it's going to be tough. I remember even just with my grandmother, how hard it was. Like, it was time for my grandmother to get into a home. My mother did not even pack her stuff. It was family day weekend. Me and my brother, my sister, we packed, we went as a family to bring my grandmother. So I can only imagine how difficult it's going to be one day when my dad goes in.
Is he aware? Like, if you relocate him, is he going to be aware once he goes into a different room, or is he going to be kind of oblivious, which, again, sounding horrible, would actually be a good thing? Because my dad was to a certain extent oblivious when we relocated him. We had a whole strategy
Yeah,
for that I could tell you
I
about.
don't know. I think there's some kind of familiarity being at home, but I mean, my dad doesn't know where he is, who we are, no longer speaks in full sentences, can't get words out.
Yeah,
I really don't know if
I remember that. Yeah.
he'd I don't know. It's a tough one. Maybe a little bit. I think the only person he kind of really not even recognizes is familiar is my mom.
Hmm.
Like he almost follows her around like a little puppy dog in the house too. Like he just putzes around, doesn't know what to do. It's
Yeah.
so sad.
Well, I know there is a sweetness to it too. I remember my dad being the same way. What we did,
Yes.
if I may, what we did when we relocated my dad, so he was going to a day program at the time.
Hmm.
So he was, I mean, he was sick, but you know, he can get up, he could move around. He needed to be watched mostly, and that's where the day program provided respite for my mom because she didn't have to like watch him and make sure he didn't wander off. So we had carefully planned, and when he got into a full-time care facility, we had planned like the moving day. So when the moving day came, we planned that day that he was going to go to the day program because he did that like a couple of days a week. But we picked a moving day where he was going to the day program, and he went. And that day we grabbed his stuff. We took it. This all sounds so sinister, but it's what you have to do. We took all of his
Yeah.
stuff and we dressed up his room to try to look a lot
Right.
like his
His room
home.
at
A
home.
lot of memories, familiar photos, what have you. His chair, his recliner that he loved so much. You
Yeah.
saw his recliner. So we dressed up his room as much as we could. And then I remember the day, and I think it was one of the worst days of my life when I had to go pick him up from the day program. And also seeing him leave for the day program, I knew he was never coming home again. And when I went to go pick him up, I got him in the car, and he was asking questions. Like he was fine. He was, calm, but he was asking questions like, so are we going home? But then a minute later he would say, am I going to
Right.
work today? Like, where's mom? Where is she? And
Yeah. Yeah.
did she go to work today? Like, what time is school for you? Like, meanwhile I'm in my 30s or whatever. So, 40s probably. 40s, yeah. And when we arrived, we walked him right in. We sat him down on the recliner, and the TV was on, and he just watched TV. It was harder for all of us than it was for him, which in some ways made
100%.
it easier and in some ways made it really difficult, right?
Yeah. See, my dad's past that point
Yeah.
of asking questions. And also, speaking of the day program, another thing, we did not get him in early enough. By the time my mother was willing to try, the first day he went, he had pure meltdown, breakdown, and my mother wouldn't leave. It just made the scene worse. And we were never able to get my dad in the day program. Unfortunately, my mother's been a real big obstacle in my father's care. And we always talk about this with my siblings, like, because you feel guilty because you don't do certain things. And then my brother reminds me, will say, you have to remember it's mom. Mom really handcuffs us. Like she won't let us make certain decisions and moves to help them. So
But maybe now
that's the
you're over that
situation.
hump, right?
Yeah.
Maybe she's now more on board, and it is what it is. And I think about being in her situation, and I'm not sure I'd be any different. I don't blame her. I remember
Yeah.
my mom when we finally, and when I say we, it's me and professionals that were sitting in her living room saying, look, it's at least time that you have to look about him moving, that you have to wrap your head around the fact that he can't live here anymore. And when
Right.
she realized that, she cracked like an egg, and she just started bawling. Like that was almost worse than moving day because she
Yeah.
realized that was the realization of,
Yeah.
well, he can't live here anymore. So,
Yeah.
I mean, there's no perfect blueprint to all of this. You just try to
Yeah.
make it as smooth as possible. But I can understand where your mother is coming from. Like, is she? And my mother is Maltese, and I jokingly refer to Maltese as pretend Italian. So I feel like
Pretty close.
we're
Yeah.
related in that way. My mom had that pride of that's my husband, and it's
That's
my
right.
job to take care of him. And my
Yeah.
dad would have been the same way with my mom. But there's also I realized more afterwards that this was a person that was losing their life partner. She had
Yes.
plans. They were supposed to do things for the next 10, 20 years together. Are you realizing that about your mother, that it's not just that pride, that
Yes.
responsibility,
So she often
it's
refers to
yeah.
that, like she never expected her golden years to be like this. I mean, they came to this country young, worked hard. All of my parents ever did was work, hardly, rarely took a holiday. And she thought this would be her time. And then my dad was kind of diagnosed early. Like, I don't even remember exactly, but my brother says around like mid 60s. He was starting to forget. He went to the doctor. I guess the doctor did a simple test and basically said, you have the beginning of, dementia or Alzheimer's. He's like, oh, I don't believe it. Da, da, da. He quit drinking. My dad drank for many years. And, it progressed slowly, I would say. It got worse during COVID. And these last few years have just been like the worst. But
Yeah.
it progressed slowly, I think, in the first 5, 10 years, because it was just what seemed minimal things. Um, yeah. So yeah, my mom is very sad about what could have been, and she talks about it like often. And then obviously the waterworks come.
Yeah. Well, so your husband David,
Yes,
he lost his dad many years ago, but his mother has dementia as well. What's the timeline like? And I'm so sorry to hear about that, about your dad
I
and
know.
about your
So yeah, Dave's dad
mother-in-law.
passed very young. Yeah, he was 57. I think my husband was 18 years old.
Wow.
He got pancreatic cancer and was taken in a very short time. So that was very difficult, very traumatic for the family. They also had a business together. So not only did his mom lose her partner, she lost her business, like whole life upside down. So she's been on her own for a while. She's actually, yeah, she's got Lewy body dementia and Parkinson's. She's currently in a long-term care facility. We moved her in about, I think it's been about 3 years now. So we moved her from her home in Richmond Hill into a condo. And that's when we really realized her disease, how far it was, because how far gone, because we moved her into a condo. She did not know how to push the button, go to the second floor, and walk to her apartment.
Mm,
And
yeah.
the other big thing was she could not understand how to turn on the stove.
Oh boy.
So we had bought her an induction stove with, I don't know, the dial or
Yeah.
she was used to her gas stove at home. Like, I guess because she lived alone, we didn't realize
Yeah.
until we moved her. And we're like, oh my goodness. So then she wouldn't leave the condo because she was scared. And then
Yeah.
that's how she progressed. Um, yeah, for her, maybe 5 or 6 years until she was really bad. And we had caregiver though at home for her, live in nanny, until it got to the point where she wasn't getting out of bed. And then we moved her
And
to long-term
and
care.
so now she's in long-term care. So
Yes.
would your mother-in-law have been diagnosed before your father-in-law, before your father? And I'm asking because
Um,
I always like to hear about like first signs. Like what was it where you went, whoa, something's off here? And then, with your mother-in-law and your father, maybe you would recognize signs in the other, given your experience.
yeah. My father was his short-term memory would go. He'd ask the same questions over and over.
Yeah.
So that was my dad. My mother-in-law, I think it was more confusion. Maybe it was a different type of dementia. I don't know. Like, yeah, it's just,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it was just a shock when we found out for her too. But my mother-in-law too, she had a lot of other, she was depressed. She'd been on a lot of depression medication that really zoned her out. And we told her to stop taking them and she wouldn't. So I think there was a lot of other things. She was in a couple of car accidents. Heartbreak from losing her husband. I'm not sure
She's
how.
been through it.
Yeah.
She's been through
Yeah.
it, and it's taken its toll. And in that vein of taking its toll, you and your husband are going through a lot. I mean, does I'm sure your daily conversation is about caregiving. It's about your father, and it's about your mother, and it's about his
Always.
mother. How do you two? I'm not going to say plow through that because that's a thing. That's your life right
It's
now.
just life.
But how are you? Because it can't be everything you talk about. So how
No.
is it as a married couple with all that you're dealing with? How are you taking care of yourselves as a couple?
Oh, I think you kind of put those feelings in a box and you hang it on a shelf and you go on with the rest of your life. And then sometimes that box opens when you have to revisit. We have a young son, he's only 13. So we try and do a lot of things with him. We have a good network of friends. and family. So we try and do things to get our minds off of things. And I also have friends going through the same thing. So we'll chat about it and then we'll move on to the other parts of our lives. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess because it started so slowly, just becomes ingrained in your everyday life. Like you just don't even realize that you're dealing with it.
With you and your husband, it must make it easier for each other because you have this shared understanding of what each other's going through.
True, true. But with my mother, it's a bit different. She's in a home and cared for.
Yeah.
So we just go by and visit and make sure everything's okay. But with my dad being at home with my mom, it's a whole other level.
Yeah.
Like I literally sleep with my cell phone right beside my bedside table in case anything happens in the middle of the night. Because it has happened where we get the phone call. Oh my God, your father. Oh my God, this. So you're always kind of on pins and needles.
You're on call all the time.
That's it
How are
exactly.
you taking care of yourself? And a 13-year-old can be a good distraction because you're going to go, and I've got a couple of young kids. One is almost 13, and it could be that's where you become a kid again and you could have fun. And, like for me, I get to play
Yeah.
baseball with them and, go and do things that I otherwise normally wouldn't at my
Right.
age and have a little fun and be a kid again. So is he a distraction
well,
for you?
well,
Like,
it's just that. I mean, so we like to socialize, like
yeah,
we like to go out, and even if we just go to a friend's house and hang out for the night and have some food, or go to a movie, or just distractions like that. Not always thinking about the parents, or
yeah.
popping in for a visit and then having a plan to go somewhere else after. Or I have a huge network of friends, so we're always doing like girls' nights, or my husband doesn't have so much of that, let's say.
Yeah.
But that really helps de-stress and get your mind off of things and have a good laugh.
And do you come back kind of feeling a little bit refreshed?
You know what I do? I feel like slightly lighter. And also when you hear other people's stories, you think, I'm not the only one going through this.
Yeah.
I have another really good friend whose dad was diagnosed early 60s, sick for many years, and now her mom is sick with the same disease. So her dad passed during COVID. Her mom is literally on her deathbed.
Oh,
Another good friend of mine, oh my God, I'm getting shivers. Her mom just died 3 weeks ago. Same disease.
oh, it's horrible. I'm so sorry to hear that. That's the
So
kind,
there's comfort in knowing other people
yeah.
going through the same thing.
You could be with each other and you could help each other out. And that's kind of the age
Yeah.
we're living in right now, where we're taking care
Yeah.
of our kids, but we're also taking care
Yeah.
of our parents and we're saying goodbye to
Yeah.
people. And it's tough. I know what you're going through, Francesca. And it just feels like even when you try to find some respite and talking to others, you find that you're kind of putting your own luggage down and
Yeah.
helping others with theirs, right?
But you know what this does? It makes me realize that I don't want this for my kid. So I need to plan for the future where my parents never planned. Like, to be honest, I said to my mom the other day, I said, "Ma, if something happens to you, I don't know where you want to be buried, if you want to go on the ground. This is something we never talk about." My mom is so old school.
Yeah. It's taboo.
But I want to have that planned one day for me. I don't want my son to go through this. Plus, we only have one. Like, my mother's got four of us that are
Yeah.
kind of managing everything for her.
Yeah.
So it just makes you more aware of what you want and don't want for your kid's future. Like, I
Yeah.
don't want the burden on my son one
So
day.
do you have plans? Like, do you know what your father wants and what your mother wants? Like, do you know
I
next
don't. We
steps?
just talked to. The only thing I know is my mom does not want to go on the ground.
Yeah.
And I remember when my dad was still good, he would always say he wanted to be cremated.
Oh,
He would
okay.
always say, "I want to be incinerated." My God. But I don't know if my mom will let that happen when the time comes. We're really not sure.
Yeah. Is there a way that you can broach the subject and maybe you're just too in it right now? Like,
I think we're just too in it right now.
yeah. But do you
We're
feel like
just too in it.
that's a conversation that's coming? And how are your siblings with all of this? Like, do you feel like you're part of a team? Like I've got two siblings and I haven't necessarily felt that we're a team of three. I haven't felt that
Right.
maybe ever.
No, I do. We're really good, actually. My brother
Good.
is actually very good. He was like closest to my dad. They both worked in the construction field, all this stuff.
Yeah.
Because I know typically, no offense, I know you're a man, but usually the women, the daughters take care. But my brother's pretty involved,
Yeah.
but he's very busy with work right now. So I kind of feel like most of the stuff is landing on me. My sister's got her own stuff with her ill husband.
Yes.
My brother's really busy with work. So because of, I have a flexible schedule.
Yeah.
Can you go see mom? Can you go by see mom? Like I'm doing all the phone calls. My sister used to do phone calls. I used to do appointments. My brother would do the house stuff. I just feel like a little more is landing on me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it is what it is. We have to
You got to do it.
help each other.
You got to do it.
Yeah.
And maybe
Yeah.
right now in this point of your professional life, having a flexible schedule is happening for a reason. You know,
Yeah.
you can deal with all that. You have
Yeah.
a little bit more bandwidth and flexibility to deal with it. I know emotionally you might not feel that way, but
Right.
how are you taking care of
Hmm.
yourself, like emotionally speaking? Because I know there's a lot of busyness and there's a to-do list is seemingly never ending, and planning for what's next, always looking at that. But
Hmm.
are you checking in with yourself emotionally and saying, okay, how am I dealing with this?
You know what? I don't know. Not really.
Yeah. I know what you
Not
mean. I
really.
did the same thing. Somebody had to tell me, you gotta check in with yourself and realize what's happening. How are you feeling?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that could turn into something else. That could turn into a different issue at some point. It could turn
Oh
into
gosh, I
feelings of
hope not.
resentment or
No, I'm usually pretty strong. Like people ask me, have big network of friends are always asking me how my parents are doing, and I'm pretty open talking about it, but sometimes it just hits you. I don't know,
yeah, yeah,
all at once, and you have a good cry,
sure. You need to.
and you move on.
Yeah, good for you. So with David and his mother, can you tell us a bit more about how your your husband set up your mother, like financially speaking, next steps, thinking ahead, what he might have done to kind of make things easier for her in that way?
So, okay, so my husband has one sister who's 9 years older, and she's wonderful too. So between the two of them, they manage. Well, to be honest, I think my sister-in-law does a little bit more, but
Yeah.
so my mother lived in like a house in Richmond Hill for like 47 years. We sold her house, moved her to a condo.
How was that?
So she,
If I could pause you there, how was that for
yeah,
David and his sister? Was it very emotional? Was it hard to look past the emotion involved?
I mean, it was tough. Like
Yeah.
my husband only ever lived in one house. We were different. My parents moved, I think we moved like 5 times. So for him moving his mom out of the house, but we had an opportunity. We had a builder come knock on the door because she was the last piece of the pie he was trying to assemble some land to build condos. So we held out. I actually negotiated that deal. It took me 5 months to get that deal done.
Wow.
And then we wrote in the contract that she was allowed to stay in the house, I think an extra year or year and a half with no rental payment. So we took time to find her the proper condo she wanted. I mean, did she really want to move? No, but I think she knew she had to.
Yeah.
And she had funds from the sale of her house. The condo, I think, was maybe, I don't know, maybe 40% of the funds that she received
Mm.
put her in the condo.
Yeah.
And then a couple years ago, we sold her condo. So she's got funds from the sale of her property that is paying for
Great.
her long-term care. Because, you know, even this government funded stuff, it's expensive. Like it's almost $3,000 a month.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when my dad was in hospital and they couldn't get him into a home, they kept referring us to go into private care. So we did look into a couple. It was like $8,000 a month. Like my mother was just like, I cannot afford $8,000 a month.
Yeah.
So we had to say no. Like we can't do it. I don't know how people do it. Um, anyway, so she was set up. Okay, and I know that that'll be my parents' situation one day too. They have a big home. One day they'll sell it and they'll have the funds to take care of themselves.
Yeah.
And that'll probably be our situation too one day. I don't know. Our houses are kind of become our bank accounts at the
Yeah.
end of our life. I don't know.
It's amazing that we're living in these houses and we're just thinking, well, this is what I'm going to live off of at some point,
Yeah, yeah.
you know?
And my dad, he was a plumber, so he's got a pension. Like they're pretty good, but I don't know, life is so expensive.
It
Even
is.
that's not enough.
It is. Yeah. What was the process like? Because we just talked about this in a previous episode. We talked about right sizing, which is another word for downsizing. It's a better word for downsizing. So what was it like to do that for your mother-in-law?
Oh my God. It was a lot. It was a lot of days going through her stuff. But so I did something a little different because we were selling to a builder. I put right in the contract that she could leave the house with any kind of debris or garbage she wanted.
Mm.
So when we moved her to her condo, we literally took just the stuff we wanted and we left anything we didn't want in the house. That was part of the deal. So it
Wow.
worked out.
Like what?
Like old furniture, pieces she couldn't fit in her new house, the extra 18 sets of dishes she didn't need. We just
Really?
left it there. Yeah. So they
And
agreed to that because I was assuming they were going to knock the house down,
oh,
which I think it's actually still standing, but I know they're going to be building condos there.
yeah.
So that worked out. But also being in real estate, I see it all the time. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of stress for the family
Yeah.
to get the house cleaned out. So I always tell people too, downsize while you still have the strength to do it. Don't wait until you're, not mobile or you need a lot of help, but a lot of people don't listen.
Well, that's partly why we dedicated an episode to that, because
Yeah.
it's an important detail. It's something that you
Yeah.
don't want to do, that you kick the can down the road, and then you
Yeah.
realize
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
further down the road than I thought.
Yeah.
I want to ask you this as well, and going back, and your husband David would have been, what you said, 18 when he lost his father.
Yeah.
And I was, again, it was only 5 years ago. So I was in my 40s when I lost my dad. So I felt like I could step in for my dad with my mom and like paying the bills and taking care of that. And if she had something wrong with the house, I only live 5 minutes
Right.
away from her, so I can pop over and fix this. Or, sometimes she just wants to bounce ideas off of me or something. And that's something normally you do with your partner. She does that with me. And I give her my two
Right.
cents, and the decision, whatever decision she has to make, is ultimately up to her. How would David have eventually stepped in for your dad in playing that kind of role with his mother?
Oh, that's a tricky one.
He was
Yeah. I
so
think
young,
his
so it's very
mother,
different.
it was different. He was a little bit rebellious, I think. I mean, rebellious, not even that much. I don't, she expected a lot from him. And I don't know. I think it was really difficult. He's still very quiet. If you meet my husband, he doesn't say two words. I'm the yapper. And he holds a lot of things in.
Yeah.
He holds a lot of things in. Like,
You got to draw
I
things out of him
mean,
then.
yeah, yeah. It's I don't know. It's difficult. I know it was hard. I don't know. I know his mother too, because once he passed away and the business closed, she still needed to support the family, and
Yeah.
he still was going to school and university. So she would tell me the stories how she worked 3 jobs, and she's like, looking back, I don't know how I did it, but you just
Wow.
do it when you have to.
Wow. Going through everything she was going through, and then she's
Yeah,
stepping up and working
yeah,
more.
yeah. I mean, it was hard too. They butted heads a lot. Like Dave's dad was kind of the go-between between him and his mom. So I don't know. They had a
Mm.
kind of a weird dynamic too.
What about the dynamic with your parents? Like, are you closer to your mother than your father, or vice versa?
I don't know. I was kind of close, but not insanely close. I don't know how to explain it. Like I have other friends that are so close with their parents. They do everything together. We just had a different, my parents are kind of old school,
Yeah.
but I was close to both of them. But like I said, I think my brother had a, a bit of a different bond with my dad because he was the last one and they were both in the same
Yeah.
field.
Yeah.
My brother's a builder, framer. My dad was a plumber. So I think my brother feels it a lot too. He gets emotional too,
Yeah, of course.
when he talks about it.
Of course. I'm gonna ask you this on the way out, Francesca. And this is one where you're gonna have to take a deep breath before you answer it. Not to scare you or anything like that. It's just a thinker. It's just a
Please.
thinker. If you could ask for anything without feeling guilty, what would it be?
Without feeling guilty.
Yeah, there's no guilt involved. You could ask for anything. I hate to say it, but I wish I could have this, or I wish it would be like this. No wishing. You don't have to wish. You don't have to feel
I wish
guilty.
my dad never got sick. I wish my dad was still here and he could enjoy the fruits of his labor. Like, really, like my parents built a place in Sicily. My mom is from Sicily, and their dream was always to go back and spend like 3, 4 months in the winter, and they never, ever got a chance to do that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I just wish he was still here. I just wish he knew his grandkids.
Yeah.
We all kind of had well, not all, but kind of a little bit later in life. So my parents were a little older. But me, my brother, and sister all had our first kids within 7 months of each other, even though we got married all 4 years apart. They all came at once,
Wow.
which my dad loved. But now he doesn't know who they are or what he doesn't. I mean, I think the last time I heard my dad say my name was maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish he was just not sick.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
That's it. I wish he was just here and able to see his family and everything he created. He's actually the last one left of all of his siblings as well.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, having been through it, I get it and I understand. But one thing I remember about saying goodbye to my dad on the day he passed, I held his hand. And again, you can relate, Sicilian, my family being Maltese. I didn't hold hands with my dad. I don't remember ever touching my dad's hand, reaching out for it. I never did that. He never did that with me. We never hugged, never kissed my dad.
I'm in the same boat, mom and dad, just a different dynamic.
But the day he passed, hours before he passed, I sat with him alone and I held his hand. And I could still feel his hand. So that's something you can do right now. So hold his hand.
If he'll let me.
If he'll let you. Well, my dad had to. When I held his hand, he didn't have a choice.
At the end, maybe, but he's he doesn't like to be touched. He doesn't like to be changed. Anyways, he's just not the same. He's not the same person.
Yeah.
It's like you got to mourn them when they're still here. It's just a really messed up feeling.
But he's still in there.
Yes.
He's still in there.
Deep down.
He's still in there. Francesca Valente, our best to you and to Dave and your son, your entire family, Dave's as well. It's so good of you to share your caregiving experiences with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jeff.
Thank you. I'm Jeff Sammut. This has been another episode of Amintro Family, the podcast, which you can hear on the Amintro Family app and wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out amintrofamily.com. And a reminder, we want to hear your stories on the forum as well, and we can share them here on Amintro Family, the podcast.